Is my hello, guys? Hello, this is High Priestess Jamila. I know I've been coming at y'all from the darkness. I haven't even recorded any of my videos yet, or the rest of my videos for February. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to recording next week. I wanted to come and address something real quick, and you don't have to believe me. You don't have to take my advice. You do what you want to do, and you do what you want to do with your offspring. But I'm going to tell you guys something. I want to say this to new and young parents. Stop leaving your kids with strangers. When I say stranger, I am talking about a public daycare center or school where you know nobody there. Everybody is a complete stranger. Now, schools are different because your child is older and they can talk and tell you what is going on or what happened. When you have a little small baby, it is important for you to stay home with that child until they are at least 3. I wouldn't even introduce them into any kind of, mommy's day out or, preschool. That's when they start going to preschool, is around the age of 3. However, depending on the area that you live in or either your economical situation, you'll want to be careful, especially when you're so quick to go and get these state daycare assistances. Okay, I understand that it is there to help people, but in particular, if you have a two-parent household, I would venture out to say that if you don't have family to leave a small child with, one of you needs to stay home with that child. One of you. That is the reason why they have home study. They have homeschooling. You can actually get your GED at home. All states have a homeschooling program. All of them do. And it's free. You just want to sign up for some of them in advance because a lot of them fill up fast to where you actually have a real teacher. That way you can stay home with that baby, especially if you're very young. Young parents, listen, y'all have got to understand that, look, even, okay, let's say that you're in your 20s. Like right now, you're in your 20s. Okay. If you are, at that age, chances are growing up, things were different 10 years ago than what they are now. Now, I am not saying that you can't trust anybody. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying little babies under the age of 3, their immune system is still developing. Okay? Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was just sitting here talking to my son about this, and I didn't even I when I started having children, I didn't go back to work until they were at least 2 or 3. And when I did, I left them with family. Now, sometimes you can't even leave your kids with family, but you got to be careful. I know that those programs are set up like that to help, but like I said, it, you don't know who those people are that you're leaving your kid with. If you and you know what, state assistant, you know what, if you are somebody that's getting state assistance, then why can't somebody in the family that is trusted just get the money for the state care assistance? They'll pay your family member to watch your kids. They'll even pay your family member to do it. I would rather to see a child being taken care of by family, than just a complete stranger. That's still a complete stranger. At the end of the day, you do not know that person. And it used to be unheard of When my great grandmother, Big Mama, was alive, she would sit there and look at us like we were crazy. We never let, like, I'm trying to think if she ever allowed any of the kids to go to daycare. I don't remember any of my little cousins going to daycare. My great grandmother actually would watch the kids for my aunts and my cousins, and she was well qualified. Trust me, she was a midwife too, and all the kids listened to her. Okay, you guys, I swear to God, it's because you just never know when you may leave your child in the wrong place, and especially if it's a small baby that cannot talk yet and tell you what is happening to them. Trust me, I have been through everything, just about everything as a parent. I have four children, and if I could do it over again, I would have never left them with strangers. I've done that before. Even when they were even okay with Ty, I stayed home with him. I think it was some way I finagled staying home with my children until they were two. And there was a few times that, guys, I know that a lot of people would probably, find this to be embarrassing, but at the time I wasn't really married to a husband that had, a responsible income or stability. So, there were times when I did have to stay home and, even collected state assistance. But you know what? My children were safe. I think that when you have a baby, you got to consider the fact that you can't just always drop a baby and then get up and go back to work the next day. Okay. Even Hey, Krista, you said even people, family who we think we know. Yeah, you're right. You are absolutely right. If you have a mother or an aunt, because there are some people that you can trust with your. I mean, I know that I if I were in Kansas City back with around my family, I'm pretty sure that everybody in the family would still be bringing all their kids to me. And in fact, there was some tragedies that happened in my family because the mother was trying to find daycare and left her kid with the wrong person. So sometimes somebody that you think could do something bad. So, but I think that women have to start improvising when it comes to, their children. And it's a struggle, when especially if you're a single mom, it's a struggle, and I think that single moms created these work from home, jobs because you can work from home. Now, a lot of these customer service jobs, you can't have a screaming baby in the background. So then you still would have to have someone in the home. You would think that having someone in your home would be safe. My son got hurt once, even with a daycare lady in the home. She let my child fall down the steps and then she still demanded to be paid. And I told her, I said, "You lucky I don't sue you. You lucky I'm not ignorant anymore," and I was more concerned about my child because, I literally, there are some parents that would, but that's not good to do that because at that point when it happened, I had to just make sure I was there for Jacob because after he fell down the steps, he immediately began to fall asleep in my arms and I got scared. You know what I'm saying? And so I was waiting for, of course, I called 911 immediately. Okay. And so, yeah. So, anyway, like, no, if I was watching somebody's kid, your kid ain't gonna never fall down the steps. The shit like that would never happen to me. I am excellent at babysitting children, so, no, 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 nothing like that is ever gonna happen. And now I will tell you that as a parent, I blame myself because I should have had the permanent gate up. But there was a temporary gate. There was a gate that she could have used, but she failed to do it. And my child ended up falling down a flight of steps, a very steep flight of steps with there was carpet, but of course it was a basement because the basement in my old house had been finished. So they had just basically put carpet over concrete. So it wasn't like he fell from, like, steps from the, how like they make steps and those steps are not that hard. Like these steps were hard. So, and after that happened, I became very, very overprotective of Jacob. I quit my job. I said, let me quit this job. I sure did. I quit my job and I started my business. I started reading cards. So, ladies, there's so many other things that you can do from home to where you can. Now, that's not to say that because it's good to have some time away from your kids too. Okay, now that's not to say that, So yeah, there and this is the normal thing, sometimes, but in this day and age, guys, people done went crazy. This is not the time. That's just like when Jacob is kind of fussing, and we only started having, I started having obstacles with Jacob only because, we had to come to this room temporarily. Otherwise, I usually get my privacy. Jacob is no problem for me all day. And after that, I just held my baby in my arms and I was like, ain't nobody else watching my baby. I swear to y'all. And I had actually ran into a couple of very crazy, kind of crazy babysitters when I lived. You know for sure that your child is going to be safe when you're the one taking care of it. Period. And like this stuff is unheard of. I can hear my grandmother and my great grandma, especially my great grandmother. I can hear her saying, where are you taking that baby? Oh, down to the daycare. They going to the daycare. The baby, a baby, like a 2-month old. These people be taking these brand new babies to daycare centers. Okay, sis, I know that you want to get schools done and all that stuff, but please, like, consider this. Like, please consider this. Like, you don't have an older sister. That's why I always regretted not having siblings. My mother should have had more children after me. That's ridiculous because, I can imagine that if I had sisters, I would be like, look, you don't, you taking that baby where? Down to the Rainbow School for Kids. That's where you just gonna take your child up there. How long have you known these people? Oh, I just went up there and toured the daycare last week. It looked clean. Really? This ain't the time to do that, y'all. And I know everybody want to be normal, but in actuality, a lot of that, especially when you've got deep spiritual roots, like you don't know who that is up at that babysitter. You don't know who that is. That could be, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just keeping it real with y'all. They don't give daycare workers psychiatric testing before they let them take care of your child. And God, for some reason, because of my bloodline, my kids was constantly harassed and bullied and I went to go pick up Deja one time from this daycare. I swear to God, I got a good feeling about these people. I swear. I don't know if it was somebody new up in there. I went up there to pick up my child, y'all. She was about 2 years old. And somebody had dug their fingernails into my baby's arm. Oh, I acted a fool. I acted a plumb fool. Yes, I did. I was so upset. I said, "How could y'all let? Who did this?" And I was not in a good mood that day, and I noticed it immediately. I know it looked like something, and it was not a child. They said, "Oh, another child did that." I said, these nails." I'm an investigator. Like I am an analyzer. I said those nails are too large for a child. An adult did that, and I want to know who did it. That, ma'am, you gonna have to leave. I said, yeah, I'm taking my child out of this daycare, and y'all lucky I don't whoop y'all asses, every last one of y'all. Okay. You and you like what if like somebody digging their nails into your kid? What if they and you know what? Deja started getting kind of sick after that too. I don't know what kind of rabies you got. And you know what? Babies like a child underneath the age of 2, their blood brain barrier has not even closed yet. So I think you should at least keep them at home until they 2. I don't know. I kept all my babies at home till they was at least 2. And Jacob has been because Jacob is no, no, no. For some reason, I don't no. I'd rather go ahead and take care of him at home. Thank you. You're right, Neurolay. And you know what? But I'm going to tell you something. I don't know why I didn't press charges. It never crossed my mind to call the police. Ain't that something? Maybe perhaps that day, because that daycare had been there forever. That daycare is a landmark in Kansas City. They are a landmark up there. They've been there for years. And maybe perhaps they're protected against the law. Maybe that's why I didn't call the police. I know that I snatched them out of there and I took them to somewhere else. And I'm going to tell you, I consistently had problems with other people taking care of my children. Consistently. I was never happy with it. So, I struggled with that. But at the same time, I had to work because I used to work. And I think the last straw came um, when that situation happened to Jacob. And she come running down the steps. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I gave her this look like if like you might want to back up off me because you just let my baby fall down the steps. I'm subject to I don't know. Guys, I swear to you, and you know what? If I let something horrible happen to somebody's kid while they was in my care, I would expect them to try to kick my ass. I would be waiting for the fight. I would be, you know what I'm saying? And I would understand, like, even though I probably had to defend myself, but I would still understand, like, shit, I just let something horrible happen to your kid. That's why ain't nothing ever happened to nobody's kids. And I used to babysit professionally. I babysat for all my cousins. I used to make money at that. That was my first job was a babysitter. All my little cousins, all of them, on my father's side and my mother's side, and I still talk to them. That because them was my babies. You know what I'm saying? That was before I had my own children. So I took my responsibility seriously when I was babysitting other people's kids too. So a lot of these daycare centers that have been licensed for years, and you've been took your baby to daycare. They've been let a baby another baby bully your baby or something. Like I'm just real careful about stuff like that. And then so daycare centers, things got so bad with daycare centers that a lot of them have a monitoring system where you can sit and watch your baby via a camera all day. All them people would put nanny cams in their house and they find people popping their kids upside the head and doing just evil stuff to them, stuff that you may not even notice, that stuff that your child can't tell you. I'm just saying, be careful and be innovative. You know what I'm saying? Be innovative about how you're going to earn your money. And okay, if you want your education, then maybe though there are alternatives. I feel like when you are not exploring the alternatives, you merely are falling into the trap. And we know that, especially with two parent households, They are all, that's why families, families used to have family businesses. Husband and wife, they'd have some kind of business. That's but people have really gotten away from that. You know what I'm saying? A lot. And a lot of people are kind of, so sometimes especially when you have an alternative lifestyle, having a child out of wedlock, that would be considered an alt life. So because of that alt life, you've got to, explore the alternatives in life, because you know, the setup and the options, some of them are not the best for you or your child. You see what I'm saying? Some of those options that you have out there, so you have to be innovative. Okay, for example, okay, you want to go to school, you want to go to college. Okay, do your homeschooling. If you want to get out and do something, first of all, a lot of people say, oh, well, if you're homeschooled, that means that you're not social. BS. So homeschool kids it's so many different programs and, homeschool. But see, the thing of it is that most of those families that homeschool, they are usually privileged. So, a lot of the times those public school systems and all of that public assistance that was for people that were disadvantaged. But you choose to be disadvantaged. You know how many kids there are 14 and 15 years old, or 16, 17 years old, that invented stuff and started businesses and made money? Or maybe they start a catering business or something, or arts and crafts and stuff. They may sell certain, people doing all kind of stuff. Because a lot of times when it comes to school and college, hell, if you don't know somebody, you're not going to be honest with you, you're going to have to know. It ain't about what you know, it's about who you know these days. And if you don't know somebody, or if you're not a part of some kind of association that requires for you to have supreme, a pristine life, to where those opportunities are not even really open to you anyway when you've got that alt life. So many of y'all go out there, you may have been a high school dropout that got your GED, in your 20s or something. You may have went through something. You're trying to be exactly like, them, but that may not necessarily be the path that you're taking. So for example, if your parents couldn't afford to send you to college, then you've got to make a choice. Okay, I want things in life. My parents couldn't afford to send me to the best colleges. So then what am I going to do? Am I going to decide that I'm going to give up on life and just, not have any, direct plans of accomplishing anything? And when you do go out for those accomplishments, when you do go for those accomplishments, you may be thinking, well, I can get this help or I can get that help. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I wasted years and years of my life. If I would have known what I know now, what I learned in my 30s, I would already be very wealthy. I would, you know what I'm saying? I would be where I want to be. So I wasted so many years of my life trying to be like everybody else, when in reality it was never meant for me to be that way. It was always meant for me to be a spiritual practitioner. Okay, so that became very clear to me because spirit kept pushing me in that direction. Sometimes your spirits don't even want you to fit in with those people. And then depending on who you are in your bloodline, you can't just leave your kids with anybody. You know? You know what? And Neurolay, there are so many people that have college degrees and can't find a decent job to save their life. Why is that? Because a lot of those jobs, those, CEOs and, of companies and stuff like that, that's paying 100 plus per year, you got to know somebody to get in those positions. You got to know somebody. A lot of the times, that's why a lot of people are like, wait a minute. And so a lot of people that have student loans or whatever, they trying to pay off these student loans. Hell, they working at McDonald's with a college degree. And the reason why that I firmly believe that the reason why there's not enough jobs to go around, because there really isn't. When you think about it, it's not. Okay. When you think about when you now, I believe that a lot of those jobs are in rotation. And then also, let's just put it like this. There is no such thing as job security, even if you have a high level position. Okay, things have changed a whole lot. Actually, it's been this way for the past 10 years. Most of the people that I know that have anything, a house, a car, most of the people that I know, now I'm not saying the people that, because a lot of different people are different, but most of the people that I know, they have their own businesses. The ones that have jobs, they have good jobs, but there's a lot of corruption or something going on within the company. So I mean, this movie is so silly. I was watching Netflix, y'all, and I just, but yeah. So anyway, I don't know what I was getting ready to say about that. It slipped my mind. Let's go back to what we were talking about, though. Okay. Especially if you young and you got a baby, you ain't got to rush into all that. Like, you got your whole life ahead of you. Make sure that your children are safe. Don't just leave them with anybody. This used to be, like I said, unheard of. There was now it used to be, and there still is in a lot of decent communities, where there is a couple of people in the neighborhood that will watch the kids for the parents. Okay. And you usually knew that person because, maybe possibly your family member knew that person, or you know what I'm saying? But even then, what is the problem with, trying to set this up to where you're the one that's home with your child most of the time? Why is it that so many people have a instinct these days to hurry up and get the child into daycare, and I want to get this child into Head Start so that I can go ahead and make them grow up faster than what they have to? Yeah, of course, home kids that have been at home, children like Jacob did start talking later in life. You know why? Because Jacob was always at home. He didn't really, he knew how to talk, but it was not even, guys, I swear to y'all, this is so annoying. Somebody has a universal remote, and I think it's the remote. I think it's the hotel remotes. But then again, why is it going on? I mean, it was all kind of Pornhub popped up and stuff. So I think it keeps hitting the sensor on my TV. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cover up the sensor. You can actually cover up your sensor to stop that from happening. Anyway, like I was saying, um, you have to know what's out there. And even when you send your kids to daycare, you have to check them out. You have to look at them like down there. Okay, make sure ain't nothing going on down there. And please, for God's sake, I've actually seen very small babies at daycare. I've actually seen them. I don't think that they take them I don't think they take them below the age of 6 weeks at daycares. And I've actually seen them. And you know what? A lot of the ladies that work in the nurseries, they do a very good job of taking care of these little bitty tiny babies. But okay, why does it keep going on to Spotify? Why does it keep doing that? Stop. Something is changing. The channel keeps changing. Wow. So anyway, children that are not in daycare, or they do tend to do things a little bit later because maybe that's normal child development. Y'all ever think about that? I know that little boys, it did it again. I can't. I can't handle my life tonight. This is crazy. It just keeps popping up with a Drake song. That is so weird. This is crazy. Sometimes spirit don't even want you to fit in with those people. Yeah. Now they don't, and so, how do you know that how do you really know how people are treating your child? How do you really know? Not even, them molesting them. I think that can sometimes be a little rare, but how do you know they're not being mistreated? I don't know. For me, I just, and then you never know who's taking care of your child and maybe what they're programming into them. How do you know somebody isn't saying mean things to program shit into your kid? How do you know that? And maybe your child doesn't understand it, but it's still something that can negatively subconsciously affect them. So I'm just real careful these days, and then also the experience that I've had. I there were times when I was just sick to death, just up all night worrying, how am I going to go to work? I have no daycare because I had to fire the babysitter because the babysitter was, you know, let something happen, or, so you got to think about that, and you got to understand that there are alternatives. Like I said, what is wrong with the alternatives? It's not like you're not a part of the world. You're just doing what you have to do so that your child isn't negatively affected. Because I mean, me personally, I think that you can pay for the best childcare. You can pay thousands of dollars per month for childcare and still run into a problem with a daycare provider. You can still run into problems. So, it's not just for women that are on the low end, economically, but let's face it, if you are on the lower end economically, your choices are very limited. And some of those choices may not be very good choices. And really, to be honest with you, I don't trust any of them home daycares, daycare centers. I think that it's way too risky for some children. Some people, like I said, some people can do that. Nothing ever happened, you know. But for me, I didn't have, I it was always some crap. I don't know why, it just was. So you said, where's the video? What video? What video you talking about? So, and you can still get an education from home study. You can also, especially if you're still with the father, obviously the two of you need to sit down and figure out the best schedule and what is the best thing for you to do for your child. And the best thing should be with either you or the father. If the father is up to par, because I'm gonna tell you, I know that my ex watched my daughters, while we were still together. Sometimes when I was at work, he wasn't working, and it's nothing wrong with doing that. I but don't leave your kid with a strange man, please, God. I think that some people don't get that. That's just like some people will leave their kid in a hot ass car. Of course, you're not supposed to leave your kid in a hot car while you go in and get your nails done for 3 hours. Of course not. With the windows up, really? So this is the same thing. I think that's because all of a sudden there were all of these stories about these men either raping or killing these women's men, and it was always a stepfather. It's like, well, duh, why would you leave a step? Why would you not even a stepfather? There ain't no stepfather. That man ain't married to you. Y'all ain't got nothing. This just somebody that you living with, and somebody, and you just done left your child with him. You ain't supposed to do stuff like that. Quit leaving your baby with strangers. You can't just leave your child. Sometimes you do have to get away, but I'm gonna tell you that one time you make a bad decision and then something happened, and then you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life. Well, I know how it feels though to have to go to work, or you want to go to school. You know, maybe you want to go to college and you have a child. Perfectly understandable, but make sure that you are actually. Sorry, guys. Make sure that you are actually taking into consideration, where you're putting your child when you are doing things like that, you know. Okay? And if you guys need help, I'm always here because sometimes I'll be presented with something and I'll say, "Well, wait a minute, hold on, like, are you sure that I just keep, what? The general rule, and this is what my grandmother and my great grandmother used to always tell me: if that baby cannot talk and tell you what is happening to them, you keep them at home until then. And that's usually, technically, children do not start talking until 2. Even little girls, some little girls will start talking well before 2. I mean, very good in sentences to where, but that was the generalized rule, is that if they can talk, that's when you can send them to, to daycare. When I had Jacob, when I was in the hospital giving birth to Jacob, I was single and I didn't have any family up there to help me. I had to use a daycare service, and they were pretty good. It was pretty expensive, but it was worth it because I needed somebody to stay overnight with the kids. But they were actually older, and the kids had a lot of fun. They, because I talk to my kids and I let them know, hey, if somebody touch you, you let me know. Ain't no funny business or whatever. And so I think Ty was at least 10. How old was Ty when Jacob was born? 10. No, Ty was 13. So, and even with a 13-year-old, it is good to have a babysitter. But, older kids, okay, because older kids will even be able to defend themselves in case some stuff go down. But I had a really nice babysitter. She, it was very expensive though. It was very expensive. Cheap daycare, you going to get what you pay for. Okay, you are. But there are some people that are just nice. It is. There are some people that are just nice. They'll watch your baby or whatever if you're familiar with them. But, I would say let grandma watch them. You leave it, especially a lot of y'all got, well, I know that I have a grandbaby. So if my daughter did live with me, I wouldn't nearby allow my granddaughter to go to daycare. There's no way. I'm not cool with that, so I don't know. It's a good choice though, especially if you know your mother's gonna take care of your baby, you know, and not mistreat the baby, because who needs to go through that? Like, okay, it's a hard knock life. Okay, I guess I don't know. I just you never know when somebody could snap and your kid is in their presence. You know what I'm saying? You never know. And your poor baby is defenseless. That's like a devastating thought. Like when my children were very young, I've always been overprotective of them. because they can't literally, is if it's a baby, especially a newborn baby. Newborn babies are so fragile. They can barely hold their little heads up. They're so fragile at that age, and they're so helpless. And just to think of leaving your child alone with somebody that you barely know, this person could be a freaking lunatic. So just be careful out there. I know y'all doing the best that y'all can, but I see some of y'all have to be reminded of this though. And then also, you know, try every other alternative. A state daycare should be the last resort. And if you do use state daycare, have one of your family members or something that you can trust, again, that's stable, somebody close to you. Um, and they'll pay your family members to do it if that's the route that you want to take. But I wouldn't be putting my kid in a state operated daycare. No, no way. Trust me, I've learned my lesson. Okay. Yeah. So, anyway, guys, I will see you guys later. Love and light. Yeah, I am very, oh my God, I am very skeptical and very, and you know what? It's because things have changed. Even in the last 5 years, so much has changed. And we're just it's just way too many of these daycare centers that are being shut down because they're just too much stuff is happening to kids. Okay. Anyway, guys, I'll see y'all later. Love and light. Bye bye. Bye, Drea. You're new in here. Welcome. And Chantel, I don't know what that person was asking about. Bye, Neurolay. Thank you for coming. Oh, wait a minute. Takesha said that's why I want my own business too, so I can stay at home and watch my future children. A part-time job outside of working from home would be okay too. Uh-huh. Yep. That's exactly what you should do. That's exactly what it's definitely, because a lot of people, what a lot of people think when they think about people starting their own business, they always think about, well, everybody's starting their own business. How is my business going to stand out? Advertising. That's how it's going to stand out, is the advertising. Okay. How long does breast milk last? Oh, women can breastfeed for years as long as the milk is being stimulated. You can breastfeed up until you can stay lactating for years. I know that my big mama, she breastfed my uncle till he was 5. He ate regular food, but he would go up to her. But my great grandmother, my big mom, don't judge her, y'all. They just was real country, okay? They did that back in the day. Because technically, Mother Nature says that you are supposed to continue breastfeeding until the kid is about 5 years old. And I know a lot of people think that that's weird, but that's that old school mothering. Okay, it's the best in the world. And a lot of people like to pervert things, but no, it's just a child that just wants some milk from his mama. Okay, so you can breastfeed for a very long time if you choose. I'm doing good, Chris Tate. How are you? Yeah, once you become a mom, and then especially if you're not, a mother that is, let's face it, you're married, your husband, makes enough to support you and the family, so when you have that alternative, and the alternative is going to be the fact that you have a kid with this man that probably isn't financially ready. Okay, now that doesn't mean that we have to condemn him and cuss him out. He needs to just get himself together to get a job. But, you got to also look at, that, you've got to go through alternatives anyway. So why not, embrace, the pathways that have been open for you, that are still going to lead you to success, but you just have to do it in a different way. Okay. Mandy, yes, the body does make enough for two babies. Yep, there are a lot of women that tandem breastfeed. Tandem breastfeeding is when you have an older child and a newborn. There are women that breastfeed two different ages of children, so you can breastfeed a newborn and a 3-year-old. And then also there are women that have twins and triplets, and the body is gonna somehow magically produce enough milk for all the babies. Isn't that amazing? No, unfortunately, you shouldn't. I think that you can, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't breastfeed with implants. No, no, because you never know what could possibly leak into the breast, and I think it could possibly be dangerous because when you first have your baby, when your milk first starts coming in, your breasts can get engorged at any time during breastfeeding. Your boobs can get engorged very painfully. I mean, filled with so much milk. Boy, I remember one time when I was breastfeeding Jacob, he was about 3 months old. I had slept for some extra time. Me and him, we had slept for a long time, and for some reason he didn't, how sometimes babies will just get extra sleep or whatever. And I woke up and them things was engorged. I had to pump them. I think I pumped like maybe 20 ounces out of one breast. So yeah, I would never put that stuff in my body. I don't know why women do that, but I don't judge. I don't want to because there's a lot of women that do have those implants, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad. But for me, I think that it's just too risky, it's too dangerous, and, it does kind of tend to take away the option of breastfeeding if you are having children. So, people have gotten sick from that. I know that I don't know if y'all watched the Levine Life, but Dee had to get her breast implants removed because she had breast implant illness. They were really making her sick. And yeah, it still is a foreign object that's in the body. So, you know, yeah, um I think that it's that women can incorporate, earning money and continuing their education with their children. But at a certain age, you're either going to do it with them at your hip, or either you're going to do it with them, away from you. And I think that that time away from you can be really hard on a child, especially depending on what environment they're actually in, because a person can greet you at a daycare center and say, "Hi, how are you?" and be all nice and chipper. But as soon as you get in your car and drive off, they can turn into a totally different person towards your kids. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna go. I got movies to watch. I just wanted to come and say that, I'm really concerned about um people that are doing that. And the reason why I say this to y'all is from personal experience. Now I know that a lot of people are going to say, well, Jamila, that's because as you, well, no, it's not me. Like, there have been a lot of parents who have consistently had issues like that, and it's because it's just meant for you to take care of your kids at home. You don't have to always be at home. You can take your kids to the park. You can take them to the library. You can, do all sorts of activities with them. But I think that keeping them close to you is important for their safety and their personal health, especially when they are above the age of 1 years old. I'm sorry, less than a year old, less than 2. Let's just say, this. Um, watch your kids, okay? Let me just put it like that. All right. I'll see y'all later, okay? Love and light.